Hello, so my name is Hayley Wade, and I wanted to start putting together some video logs, or be a V blogger. I think that's what the kids call it these days. And my videos are going to be about the fact that I have something called an essential tremor. So a little bit about my history of my essential tremor. So when I was younger, I always used to feel quite shaky in my hands, and I always used to joke to people that I'd love to be a tattoo artist, but it would be really difficult because I shake too much. So I always thought that my shakes were to do with anxiety. As when I was younger, I used to suffer quite a lot with anxiety, panic attacks, a bit of depression thrown in for good measure. And I always thought that they were as a result of that anxiety. And then I do also remember when I was in my later 20s, around 27-ish, I would notice that sometimes my head would shake if I was in certain positions. And again, I always thought that was down to anxiety, never really understood what it was. Probably about 3 years ago, I noticed that my head was shaking a lot more when I was in certain positions, and I was a little bit worried about what it was. So I mentioned it to my mum when I was around there one day, and she told me that my biological father, that his mum and sister used to get head shakes all the time. So their head would go in a no motion, and that this was constant. So I called my biological father and asked him, and he told me that most of the family suffer with or have an essential tremor. He has it in his hand, and his mum and sisters have it in their neck and their hands. Some of them even have injections, Botox injections, to help ease them. So I'm not going to lie to you, when I found this out, I was absolutely devastated. I cried my eyes out. I remember it very, very clearly. I was driving down a country lane, and there was a deer that almost ran out in front of me. That's completely irrelevant to my story, but just goes to show how significant it was because I remember it so clearly. So yeah, I was devastated, and I feel so stupid saying that because it's not cancer, it's not terminal, it's not even an illness, it's just something that I have. And mine, in comparison to other people's, is also really, really light. You can't really tell that I have it, or other people can't at the moment. I do remember a couple of years ago being in a taxi with a customer, and he was sat in the back, and I was in the front texting on my phone. And when I look down is when it makes my head shake. And I remember him asking me why I was shaking my head. And as far as I remember, it's only that occasion, and with the ex-boyfriend noticing when about 7-8 years ago, the people that actually noticed my tremors. I've started to be a bit more open about it, but I am really, really scared of progression of them. I would be devastated if they got to the stage where people notice them all the time, and especially in my head. I don't so much mind shaky hands, although having said that, they don't affect me in any way at present. But I would be gutted if my head was to shake all the time. And as I said, I feel really stupid saying that because it's not causing anyone or myself any harm. It would just be the embarrassment of it. So I guess to show you my tremors, so if I hold my hands out normally, then you can't see them. But if I try and move my fingers in together, then my hands start going mental. But if I hold them out, they're fine. So it's odd, and they don't really affect me that much. I do sometimes feel them shaking. So I tend to hold cups and stuff with my right hand, as my left hand just feels a bit weaker, and that's where the tremor is stronger. So I'm not sure if the feeling of weakness has anything to do with it. So I feel them in my hands. I've also noticed that I have them in my eyes, because when I look at certain things, it looks like they're vibrating. And again, that's something that I've noticed for years, but never really linked the two together. So especially if I'm looking at, say, a blackboard with white writing on, like in a bar or a pub or something, it actually looks like it's vibrating. It's very bizarre. Or if I look at certain things now around my kitchen, if I just stare at that thing, it looks like they're vibrating. So that's odd. Also, my voice does have a tendency to shake. Now, that's not ideal because of my job. So I work for an IT distributor and I look after my customers. And sometimes my job requires me to present or to talk in front of a group of people. Now, I'm a really, really confident person. However, I think that my essential tremor, and I didn't realise this until recently, was the reason why I get so nervous in speaking in front of people, because I'm really worried about them noticing, and also because me being slightly nervous about getting in front of people makes my voice tremor. And as soon as my voice goes, that's it. My heart starts racing, I'll start shaking. My confidence will go and I'll just want to burst into tears. It makes me really, really emotional. So I've only really recently been made aware that your voice can have a tremor as well. And also one thing I noticed today after watching the video is that my tongue actually tremors as well. So I did notice that if I was nervous and had a photo taken, that when I smiled that my jaw would shake. And again, just thinking that that's generic anxiety. But actually it would appear that is part of my tremor. And then I guess to show you my head, so hopefully this works. So if I look down, my head tends to shake. And if I look across that shoulder, then it makes it go, which is very bizarre. This way, not so much, that's absolutely fine. I tend to now, when I'm meeting someone, have my head on my hand to stop it. And also from looking at a video today, I realised that I do tense up a lot and I always have a sore neck and shoulders, and that would totally make sense to be part of my tremor, because I'm constantly trying to not make my head shake. And then, sorry, I'm jumping around all over the place here, but I do also remember when I used to work for another distributor, that sometimes when I went to take a drink when I was looking at someone, I would have this weird kind of like head freeze where I wouldn't be able to get the cup to my lips. And now I totally realise that actually that is me trying to hold in a tremor and my body just sort of freezing where I'm trying to hold it, and then me having to put my cup back down. Which, yeah, is really, really odd, because I always thought that was some very weird thing that I did, or again to do with anxiety, but actually it's my tremor. So that's just a bit about why I'm making this video. I have a tendency to rabbit. I've had a coffee this morning, which doesn't help tremors either, by the way. But I would really like to try certain medication. At the moment, I don't really take anything for it, but I'd like to try taking some medication and show you guys if that's helped me at all. And also just to go through the journey, I don't think that many people or anyone that I speak to is aware of essential tremor, which is odd because I read that over 10 million people in America have ET. So it's quite crazy that no one's heard of it. So I want to raise awareness of it. So yeah, that's it. And I will wrap it to you all again soon. Thanks.